Hi, welcome. I'm Dr. Marie Hadley. I'm a lecturer in law, and today I'm going to be talking to you about concluding statements in the context of the IRAC problem-solving method. IRAC is also known as ILAC or HIRAC, which essentially just refers to issue, rule, application, conclusion, or if it's ILAC, issue, law, application, conclusion, and if it's HIRAC, heading, issue, rule, application, conclusion. All right, but you'll notice in each of those acronyms, they all end with the C, which is concluding statements, and that's what we'll be talking about today. So I thought what I would do is show you a couple of concluding statements that I find a little bit insufficient in the sense that they are not detailed enough to really hit the mark with what I'd be looking for as a marker from, that very last part of your analysis of a problem question. Okay, so if we have a look at our examples here, we've got the factual conclusion. Counsel is not obligated to honour an offer. In the next one, okay, we've got, a contract exists. Okay, they can maybe be sued for breach of contract. Right? And then the last bit there, the counsel is liable to pay. So what you'll find with each of these is that the student has really given us a factual answer to whether something either exists, whether someone can be held to the promise, whether someone can be sued, whether they have to pay, etc. So it's quite factual, which is okay, but remember this is a legal problem-solving method, and at the outset we would have noted in our issue statement that there's a particular legal problem that needs to be solved. And the problem with these conclusions here is not that the student doesn't understand what's going on, because they've obviously understood the consequences of a contract existing or not existing and what that means for obligations and for potential liability. So it's not that the students don't understand what's going on, but it's that you can't see from their conclusions what legal issue they've actually resolved. So it's really beneficial when looking to write a strong concluding statement that it be really obvious what law it is that you've just applied. So here we have 3 exemplars, which to me really hit the mark in terms of, yes, showing that the student understands the consequences of a particular outcome or whether something exists or doesn't exist, but they also flag that relevant legal issue that has just been resolved through that application of principles, which is the step before the concluding statement. All right, so I'll just highlight for you here what I mean by that. Okay, if we look at what we mean in the first one, okay, the student is telling me that there was an option contract issue. Great, they're signaling the relevant legal issue that they've just resolved. Okay, then look, they're telling me what happened with the offer part. Okay, and then they tell me what has happened in reality, which is the type of thing which those students on the last slide had. Okay, has a contract been formed, yes or no? And what does that mean? Are they liable, yes or no? Okay, so they have some of the features of the last examples, but they step me through what legal issue it is they've resolved and how those issues fell according to the analysis that they just did. And so that's why that first one is such a good example. In terms of the next one, look, the student is once again flagging the legal issue that they've just resolved in their application. Fantastic. And then they move on to the questions of, okay, does a contract exist or not? Do they have to pay the money? What does that mean for the parties from a factual point of view or a practical point of view? Okay. And the same thing here, okay, so it's not an offer. All right, so we're getting the language of the legal issue coming through strongly in the conclusion as well, okay, before the student does what the other students have done, which is resolve, I guess, what the consequences are from a practical point of view, okay? So here are 3 examples where I think the students did quite well in bookending that IRAC analysis with a really strong conclusion.